Tonight on the podcast, I gathered some familiar faces together to have an intervention with Lance and his Mandela effect when it comes to brick oven pizzas. Welcome, everyone, to another exciting episode of the Absolute Geek Podcast, a show that's full of two fat liars. As we say, we're going to be more frequent with our episodes, and then we just decided to do it for a month. No big deal. Life happens, but...
Which, it's going to happen again.
Yeah, I'm Matt. Hopefully not, but we'll see.
I am Lance.
I'm Max.
And I'm Jay.
Hey, two
Jay are
familiar
here.
faces back.
Hello.
Back
What
for some
up?
more shenanigans. And listen, all right, I'm sitting low because I have large ass computer screens, and I decided to get a new office chair because those gaming chairs over time just aren't comfortable anymore.
Dude, you've been
And-
sitting low for 6 years, dude.
No,
Yeah,
I'm
I
sitting
wasn't-
way lower now, dude.
Are you?
Way
I
lower,
honestly
yeah.
didn't think you were sitting any lower.
How's everyone been? We got a lot to cover in a short amount of
Lots-
time tonight.
Lots has happened, hasn't it?
So I'm gonna open the floor to whoever wants to kick us off. What do you guys want to talk about? What do you want to start with? What's on your minds?
Well, I think Max was pretty excited about some gaming awards that happened today.
Yeah, man. Last night, I can talk about some of the stuff that I was excited about. As I think everybody that has listened to this show from when I was on it knows, I'm a gamer. I love gaming, but I gotta say, 2022 was a crappy year for games. Like, at least for me, I didn't play anything until September, and then 2023, I don't think I've gone more than a week, if that, without playing games. This has been the best year in gaming since 2018. One of the best years of gaming ever. So the Game Awards to me was really exciting this year to but to see who's going to win the different awards. And I'm not going to go through a whole listing. I don't have notes of every victory. But let's just say Baldur's Gate
3 swept everything.
It took the crown on everything. And I got to say, well deserved. And then Alan Wake 2 was probably second place with getting the most awards. And it was pretty well deserved. I played Alan Wake 2. I'm not into horror games. I don't like that genre. But
Is that a horror game?
yeah, Alan Wake 2 is a horror game. It's really good, though. And it's got a really cool story. Probably the prettiest visuals of a game that came out this year. Just stellar. But yeah, the Game Awards were awesome. We saw a reveal for Hellblade 2. So we got Senua's Saga Hellblade 2 coming out next year. The trailer looks sick. That game looks amazing. I can't wait to play that when it comes out. The only thing I was bummed was that they didn't give an actual release date. They just said 2024, which we already knew. But oh well. I get it. They don't want to put a date until they're ready to release it. We're closer to ready. I was just hoping it was going to be first half of the year. And now, because they didn't give a date, I'm like, that's probably going to be end of 2024. But yeah, those were my biggest highlights. Just congrats to Baldur's Gate 3. Congrats to FF16 for winning the best musical score, because that game right there was my one snub. I was bummed it didn't get on the Game of the Year list, because honestly, I think it might be my personal Game of the Year. I loved FF16 a lot. And I feel like I'm word vomiting, because honestly, there have been many points throughout the year that I'm like, I need somewhere to talk about how much I love these games, but I haven't been on the podcast, and now I'm just letting it all out.
What I was surprised was the amount of nominations that Spider-Man 2 got, and it didn't win anything.
It won nothing, yeah.
Which I think
That was my game of the year.
That was my game of the year.
And Tears of the Kingdom. Those are my two.
It was probably in my top 3. Yeah, Baldur's Gate was probably number 2 for me, and then that one.
I wonder if it had anything to do with the amount of glitches they had, or bugs that they had in the beginning.
I don't think so. Here's what I'll say about Spider-Man 2. It was an incredible game, but it and I'm not saying that it should have been a DLC, but in many ways it could have been a DLC. And I think that's why the gaming media, who's the one that votes on this, was never going to vote for it to be the game of the year over a game like Baldur's Gate 3 or Tears of the Kingdom. Tears of the Kingdom and Baldur's Gate were the only two that I think Alan Wake. Those had a chance. I don't think the others on that list even had a chance.
You
Baldur's
think
Gate 3
Spider-Man-
revolutionized
Yeah,
RPG.
I'm interested to see why you think Spider-Man 2 should have been a DLC.
Okay, what DLC?
Downloadable content. I don't think Spider-Man 2 should have been DLC. I've heard the sentiment from some people, and I've argued with them online. I think it makes perfect
That
sense
is
as a
the
brand new
most-
game.
That's the most moronic thing I've. That game is long. Miles
It's
Morales.
super long. It's super long.
Miles Morales makes sense.
Yeah. Here's the reasoning people give. And again, I don't think it should. I think it was perfect as a full release, especially because a full release means it takes full advantage of the PS5, all of that. But the reason people give is that you're using the exact same city. They added 2 new areas. That's common when you do a DLC. You add new areas.
It's New
And-
York. Like how can you use a different
again,
city?
Again, I'm with you.
Yeah,
But
here's what.
That's
pisses-
why
can I
people
just-
say it.
Can I address what you just said? Can I address what you just said?
Sure.
Because fans of the movies got all pissed that Spider-Man was in Europe for the movie because they took him out of New York. Now people are pissed at the video game because they kept him in. Make up your
No.
fucking minds.
It's stupid people. It's a dumb opinion.
It's people that don't
Spider-Man
understand
2
the character.
makes perfect sense as a brand new game. The fighting is similar, but it's different enough. You got new areas, you got new graphics, you got the flying abilities. It's a brand new story that's like 30 hours long. It's not a DLC. And
So
should
people
be
Max
just-
and Lance's opinions do not reflect the opinions of the Absolute Geek Podcast.
I have
Their
your
opinions
I have
on your
same
stupid opinions are
opinion.
not the opinion of the head of
What are you
this
talking
channel.
about? What are you talking about? What opinion did I have?
No, I'm just giving you shit for calling people stupid. That's all.
Oh,
Well,
okay.
well, how many people were upset with Far From Home that he went to Europe?
I don't know.
That's all I remember
What?
from when that movie came out. That was the biggest gripe I heard was he went to Europe.
That game was a masterpiece, and there's a lot of less complete games that are getting released today that are way buggier. Like, look at Cyberpunk 2027 and how long it took for that to become a complete game. And there's way buggier games than
Yeah,
anything I hit in Spider-Man, and I absolutely love that game. That would have been
I
an
do too.
amazing story if it was a movie. That game is phenomenal, and it deserved to win more awards. The Game
I've played
Awards-
it twice through. I loved it. Like,
Game Awards is a
So
joke
good.
at this point.
I like the Game Awards. I don't think it got snubbed in anything personally.
The only good part about the
But-
Game Awards is the new like looks ahead of what's being released since we don't have E3 anymore.
Mhm.
So that's the only good part about the Game Awards. The awards themselves are meaningless, but like we got a new announcement for a Blade video game.
Yeah.
I'm sad we didn't see
Weird.
anything about the Wolverine game that's coming out.
Yeah.
We
Sony
got
didn't
DLC
really show
for
anything.
yeah, we got DLC for God of War Ragnarok.
Yeah, Shadow drops. Yeah, it's just free. You can play
Yep.
it. That's cool. FF16 DLC.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I
The new
take it
Dragon
back.
Ball
Sony,
video game.
yeah.
So there's some good like game releases videos, but and trailers, but
That's the main
nothing's
reason
gonna compare
I watch
to
it.
the hype of Grand Theft Auto 6.
Oh man. I've never played a GTA game, but I want to play GTA 6. It looks cool.
It looks fantastic.
Yeah.
But
Hmm.
well, I'm glad
And,
that you're geeking out on the Game Awards there, Max. And
Yeah, man.
I
The
haven't
new,
actually played Baldur's Gate 3 yet, just because games like that don't interest me. But
They usually don't interest me either, but I loved it.
What is?
But
Is
I'll
it
say
turn-based game or like what
it's
is
turn-based, yeah, and it's like you can change the camera, but it's like kind of over the top camera vibes. The way I think they're called CRPGs. I'm trying to think of other games like it. It's not a genre. I
like
typically
Diablo.
not Diablo, not like Diablo because that's like more hack and slash. I think like Pillars of Eternity.
Well, I'm
a
talking
good
like
example.
camera overhead camera.
Yeah, it's got an
Thank
overhead
you.
camera like Diablo, but it's the combat's turn-based. It's really strategic and it can be fun, but
Like
it's not why I
World
like
of
the game.
Warcraft
Not really.
or Dragon Age.
No, not like
No?
those. No, those are more interactive.
I'm surprised that you say you don't like those kind of games because I thought that like isn't that what Final Fantasy is?
The original Final Fantasies are turn-based game. This is a different kind of turn-based. I don't know how to describe it. And I'll also say this. The older I've gotten and the more into gaming I've gotten, the less I like turn-based. And that's not true for a lot of gamers. A lot of gamers still love turn-based, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I just think it's more fun to have Spider-Man-like combat, or a shooter, or a lot of others. I prefer a more action style combat system. But Baldur's Gate 3, the combat's my least favorite part. If I ever play that game again, I'm gonna download a mod that turns on God mode so that I don't have to do the combat, because I don't enjoy it enough. Like, I put it on easy mode and still was getting my butt kicked pretty regularly because I'm just not good at it and I don't like it. But I still call it my second favorite game of the year because holy crap, the RPG elements of it are so good. The characters, the decisions you get to make, the story is really good. The whole world you can like interact with. Like, if you want to get into a fight with you can just like move a barrel next to an enemy, shoot at the barrel, blow it up, and now the enemy's dead. Like, there is so much interactivity with this world. You can kill pretty much any character in the game, and now if they had a quest for you, you're out of luck. Too bad. Like, there's a character I just missed. There's a character that like is a big companion that you can have that I walked past her at the beginning of the game, and then I got to a part of the game where I was like, oh, I should go back and get her. And it was like, no, she died because you didn't rescue her. So it's just like, and I'm okay with that. Like, those kinds of like games are so immersive, and they really get you thinking about your decisions, and then they make replaying them enjoyable because you can see new things that you didn't before. Like, I might do a new run and be a bad guy, where I always do good guy runs when I do games like that. Like, I like to be a good guy first, but then on the second playthrough, like with Mass Effect, I'll punch the reporter. Heck yeah. All the different things you can do to be a bad guy. I like
get ready for Grand Theft Auto, because that's the whole point.
Punch that hooker. Punch that hooker.
Yeah.
Punch that hooker.
Yeah.
If you don't beat up the hooker after you give her your money, then you're playing it wrong.
Mm-hmm.
I really need to
Service
play
my
GTA
ween,
5.
and then I'm gonna take my money back. In Grand Theft Auto only. I don't condone
of course.
Let's switch gears a little bit, and since we haven't been here for a while, let's talk about a big movie release that came out while we have been away, and let's talk about the Marvels. I know Jay's been chomping at the bit to talk about the Marvels.
I
It's
have.
actually one of the most requested topics I've had from people. Is one is, where's the new episode? Two is, I want to hear your opinions on the Marvels.
People
Wow.
really want
I'm
to
gonna
hear
start
our
with-
opinions on the
I'm
Marvel.
going to start with Jay and let him go on what you thought about the Marvels, because I know you had a pretty interesting take on the Marvels.
Everybody bitches about, certain aspects that Marvel I'm not going to say what it is, but certain aspects that Marvel movies have had lately, that certain things seem shoehorned or, take
just say
precedence.
woke.
Yeah,
the
yeah,
Marvel,
yeah.
the
Okay,
Marvel woke agenda.
But I don't feel like really this was that.
I agree.
No.
I feel like it
Not
had
anyway, like the
bigger
first one
problems.
was.
Yeah, I think it had bigger problems. I think it had a lot of continuity problems. I think it had a lot of plot holes, and normally that kind of shit doesn't bother me. Like, if I'm invested in the movie and I'm liking the characters, I overlook all that crap because that's the stuff that's important to me. But this, I'm just sitting there shaking my head and I'm like, wow, and then stuff's trying to wrap up, and there's just a lot of details. I'm like, why couldn't they have just done this in the beginning? Why couldn't she have just gone and powered that damn sun in the very beginning? How did what's her face? I don't even remember the Sting characters. Was it Photon? It's like, how did she know how to do all that stuff? How did she know to repair those holes that she had to go on the other side? And just a lot of these like stupid things, were happening. I'm like, this seems like it's being made by people that don't get hero stories, the people that don't get this kind of stuff. It's like, I don't know. I'm just wondering. I'm like, does anybody know Did anybody bother reading any source material or any comics or how people's powers work? Or you put these characters in situations, like Captain. No, the dumbest one, dude. The dumbest one was when they were flying in that ship and those heat-seeking missiles were after him. And I'm like, couldn't fucking Captain Marvel just fly out the ship and blast those damn things? It's stuff
sure
like
could.
that. Stuff
Yeah.
like that. I think I'm like, why couldn't this has just happen? Why? I don't get it. And it was that movie was so riddled with stuff like that it bugged me, and it got my way of enjoying it.
I know Max has been battled in a lawsuit with PETA over his take on Goose the cat. So why don't you go ahead and tell us what you thought about Captain Marvel there, Max?
I liked it overall. I agree pretty much with everything Jay said, though. They made a big mistake when the first movie came out, and they made her exceptionally overpowered, just like
Right.
so powerful that nothing can stand up to her. So now, and then Endgame obviously shows that same thing. When she comes in, they turn all the ships at her. She just flies through them, right? Which is a cool moment. But then we get into this movie, and she starts flying the ship, and she's like, I'm gonna get us out of this. Okay, go blow everything up. Like just go blow it up. But I enjoyed it. Like, I thought the villain was forgettable as all get out. I can't remember the name of the villain. Thought she was awful. Like phase 1 kind of villain status here, just not interesting. But I thought Amala Khan was really cute and fun. She was funny. I still don't like how they changed her powers. I prefer the powers from the comics, but whatever.
The stretchy powers.
Yeah, I like the stretchy powers, and she can, get tall. She can all that. Like, I prefer that compared to the light-based powers.
You know why they did that?
Mr. Fantastic.
They came out specifically and said it's because of Mr. Fantastic. They don't want people to get confused.
I think people are smart enough to tell the difference between a teenage girl and Mr. Fantastic.
No. I don't think that's what it is. I think what it is that for a general audience member, they may think that there's some sort of relation between not relationship, but some sort of connection between the two. Does that make sense?
Maybe.
At least that's the way I read the quote.
I know smart folk like us will get it, but the regular run-of-the-mill dum-dums, not so much.
I don't think it's smart folk. I think it's just fact that we have previous experience with the characters.
Maybe. Anyway, that's a different issue. About this movie in particular, I thought Brie Larson was much more enjoyable this time around. I thought that Captain Marvel herself was a more likable character than ever.
Let me ask you something, Max. Do you think Nick Fury was more enjoyable this time around?
Not really, and I didn't like how there was no connection to Secret Wars at all, or Secret Invasion. Like, that didn't happen, kind of is what it felt like. So it was funny. I liked the musical thing. I think Lance said he thought that was stupid. I thought the cat joke at one point was cringe. I thought the cat joke was cringe as all get out near the end, but I had fun. I was with a friend. He didn't like it at all, and he was looking over at me when I was laughing at parts, being like, "You think this is funny?" I'm like, "Yeah, dude, I'm having a good time." I don't remember what score I gave it. I probably gave it a 7 online. Upon reflection, I'm maybe more at a 6, but it was fine. I'd watch it again.
You know what's sad? And I didn't even think about this. And I went to see it with my daughter, and it was opening night. We saw it opening night, and she looked around the theater and she goes, "Gosh, I remember when we went and saw Endgame and the theater was full on opening night." Dude, there were, including my daughter and I, there were probably about 8 people in the whole theater.
Oh, wow.
Well, I think there's a reason for that. I think Endgame did a really good job of convincing you that it was an event. The Marvels, what in it makes you think that it's an event? You know what I mean? Like, Endgame had this essence to it that was, you can't miss this because this is going to change everything. And the Marvels, I don't even think the Marvels knew how to make itself relevant. It didn't feel relevant to me.
It's a good point.
So
Yeah.
Well, speaking of that, since you couldn't wait to interject yourself and let Max, finish talking before you had to get in
we've
there
been friends for 15
and break
years.
your woke agenda, Lance. Go ahead and tell us what you thought on the movie, Lance.
I was done with my thoughts anyway, but yeah, thank you, Matt. Thank you for defending my honor.
We've been friends for 15 years. If I just let him go and don't interrupt him, it'll just go.
True, man. You want a shorter episodes?
He was making a great point, and then Lance just had to interject himself because Lance is like, "No, I've got to be the star of this show.
Spotlight
Bring the
on
spotlight
me.
to me." So let's give Lance the spotlight treatment he wants, and let's hear what Lance has to say about the show.
I love it. Nice and large, like real life. Yeah. Can you bring your faces back on? I need to see expressions.
You got 5 minutes, Lance.
You need validation. You need our validation, right?
Matt, stop it. All right, I'm leaving. Okay. No,
if I would have known it was that easy to get you to leave, I would have done that a long time ago.
I think both of you, everything that you guys said is, I can't disagree with you in the least. To me, it was just boring. It was just, I walked into that theater. I was like, oh, great. A new Marvel movie. Like, let's see if Bob Iger's involvement has improved this machine at all. Cause I think a lot of what the growing pains that we've experienced, I think a lot of it had to do with Bob Chapek, because it seems to have coincided with when he got there.
I agree. I totally agree.
Bob Iger has said things previously before he started admitting, like, hey, we start focusing on policy over storytelling, you know what I mean? But he said things before that made you think like, oh, maybe he does like the way it's going. But it felt like it, to me, it was the most forgettable movie of the entire MCU, even more so than Eternals. And I hated Eternals, but at least Eternals it felt like it was applying itself to the thread that is the MCU. You know what I mean? Like it seemed like
that's a bold statement. I think you need to rewatch
Iron
Man 2, 3, and Thor.
I would watch Iron Man 2 as much as I don't like Iron Man 2. I would watch Iron Man 2 over the Marvels, and for this reason, Justin Hammer.
He's awesome.
Yeah, Sam Rockwell. There's things in that movie that I'm like, oh, I liked that. Oh, yeah. I liked that. It's not a good movie. I liked Mickey Rourke as Whiplash. I liked Justin Hammer. Sam Rockwell's fucking awesome. Iron Man 3, there was things in it that I liked. I liked him struggling with his identity and kind of the turmoil or the depression aspect of Tony Stark, right? I liked
big butts and again.
I don't like the reveal, like what they did with Mandarin at the end, but I liked everything up until that point before you figured out that he wasn't actually Mandarin. Like that kind of that is that movie, right? That's Iron Man 3. Uh-huh. Yeah. Before they actually tell you, oh, by the way, this is actually Trevor Slattery or whatever. This is not Mandarin. That was all stupid. But I liked Ben Kingsley up until that. Like there's redeeming qualities of those two movies. Even Thor Love and Thunder. I mean, you look at it and yes, they ruined Christian Bale's character.
God Butcher.
Yes, they ruined what he was in the comics, but he still did a good job for what was given to him. There's a lot of things in that movie that aren't good, but there was still, I thought that whole black and white sequence was awesome. When they're on that Earth where all the color is escaped. But what in the Marvels was in 10 years, when I think back at these movies, like what in it is really memorable?
Kittens running amok in space.
I look at the Marvels as it was a fun time.
It was okay.
But it's not one of those like essential MCU movies. I don't think like
none of them are essential. That's the thing. In the first few phases, you kind of felt like a feeling like all these movies were just kind of building up, like they were just gaining momentum. Now it's all they're just kind of like just floundering in the atmosphere, you know. Shang-Chi, what are they even going to make any more of those? No, who cares? Eternals, did that really have any point? No, other than they have that dead celestial that in the ocean that nobody talks about anymore. You know, all of those. I just, none of them really seem to be.
I feel like
building over anything.
I think Shang-Chi was great, but
I feel like Ant-Man tried.
It tried.
Yeah,
I feel like I feel like Ant-Man, out of all these bad ones that we're talking about of late, right? I would say Ant-Man's probably. I'm talking Thor and the Marvels and all these really bad ones that we've gotten this year. Ant-Man's probably rising to the top of that whole list, wouldn't you say?
Dude, that's like
Guardians is my favorite of this year.
I forgot about Guardians.
Guardians is for sure.
Guardians.
I would say, of what phase are we in? Is it 5?
I don't even know anymore.
Yes.
Whatever.
Yes.
I think it's 5. Of
4,
this phase.
Yes, because 4 ended with Wakanda Forever, and Ant-Man was the first movie of Phase 5.
Okay. Well, then then I'll just say post Endgame stuff. Post Endgame in this multiverse saga, I would say I can only think of 3 movies that have really been like trying to move the multiverse story forward. Spider-Man, No Way Home, obviously, Doctor Strange, Quantumania. I think Shang-Chi was good. It didn't move the multiverse at all. It wasn't, and I don't think it is intended to.
Shang-Chi was pre-multiverse.
Yeah, and that's like I'm saying, it wasn't trying to, and that's fine. I enjoyed that movie, but I would agree that the other movies haven't really been building that momentum. Jay,
well, Black Panther is unique because Black Panther couldn't be as much of a part of the thread of the MCU as it was. We need a movie to explain the absence of Chadwick Boseman. That was the purpose of that movie, right? To kind of set up what the future of Black Panther is, because they had all these ideas for Black Panther, and then with Chadwick Boseman's passing, they had to make a movie to move the needle of the Black Panther story. So I understand why that, and it would have been too distracting to add all this MCU stuff. They wanted to make it kind of an homage to what Chadwick Boseman meant to the franchise, right? That's the purpose of that movie. And I think it did that decently. I think they kind of messed with Namor a little too much. But it wasn't a bad movie. I mean, Matt didn't like it, I don't think, right?
Mm-mm.
Was it because of the Namor thing?
It was because of the entire movie.
It's Namor.
Thanks for being specific, Matt.
Well, we're talking about the Marvels, right?
What more specific do I need to be? It was because of Namor. It was because of the changes they made to Namor. His stupid reason for being called Namor. You know, for the Shuri being unbelievable and not in a good way. Black Panther. Like,
I agree with that.
That's kind of my same issue with Brie Larson and the Marvels. Like, these heroes, when you think of hero or a comic book character, you have a specific picture in mind, and like Brie Larson is super fit and super toned, but like when you look at her body, you're expecting me to see power in that, like her thin arms, and same with the actress who plays Shuri. Like, I'm not body shaming her at all, but just her physique. It's hard to believe that this is going to be a superhero.
I get exactly what you mean.
One punch, she's going to break her arm.
Their stature doesn't command
like
a presence.
Brie Larson doesn't bother me, but Shuri does. I agree with you.
Yeah, they're. I think they're different. I mean, I think Brie Larson, as far as physique is concerned, fits the Captain Marvel mold a little bit better than Shuri does as Black Panther. I wanted M'Baku. That to me seemed like the logical decision to move forward with Black Panther. I
could have been.
Name? It's
I could have been good with his girlfriend. Like,
oh yeah,
if you wanted to go with like a girl version, like she has a good physique for that, and I think she's a great actress.
Oh, and well, she's an Oscar winner on one thing, but she is a good actress. She is bulkier it is
It's
more
just like
believable.
and maybe it's because we're dudes, and like, we see this little girl and Shuri basically. It's just not believable. I don't know, but like that one's tough for me. I can't believe Shuri is like a strong
because like
fighter.
you look at I think it's the way that these movies have been represented to us all along. Like you go back to the first Spider-Man Sam Raimi movie, Peter Parker's weak, and even even the Captain America movie. And the minute he gets bit by the spider, he's more filled out, he's more toned, he's got a fuller body. And like you have all these dudes that bulk up for these roles, like it's almost like, well, okay, maybe they should have bulked that role up a little bit. Or even like when she's got the costume on, just made it look like, when she drinks that
Kind of like
herb.
what they did with Zachary Levi as Shazam.
Yeah, when she drinks that herb, she gets, toned out a little bit more. It doesn't look like she's gonna throw a punch and break her arm.
They even
And-
gave Natalie Portman her CG muscles and Living Under.
And hers look dumb. if I'm
So,
honest.
Kind of rubbery.
Not
but-
good.
I liked the Marvels. It was an okay movie. It was a movie. It was an okay movie for me.
Forgettable movie though.
I felt like I felt like this was totally presented as a Captain Marvel 3, because it feels like there's a whole movie missing. Like they kill the Kree supercomputer off screen.
Yeah.
And in a flashback, and the whole like thing with the planet, and it's all it just felt like the entire time there was a movie missing. And the woman who plays Kamala Khan stole the show. She was the best part of this movie. She outshined Brie Larson, who's should have been the main star of this movie.
And her whole family. I love all of them.
And
so charming.
Like, I feel like this movie, you said, Max, that it didn't connect to Secret Invasion. I feel like it kind of undoes Secret Invasion, because you look at the part with the Skrulls and the Kree, when the Kree are attacking the Skrull planet. The whole thing within Secret Invasion is that Nick Fury promised to help the Skrulls find a place to go. He didn't find them a new world, so they were trying to take over Earth. But in this movie, the Skrulls are getting attacked, and then all of a sudden she's just like, "Oh, let me call Valkyrie, and we're gonna shoot them down to New Asgard." So it felt like, to me, like the events of Secret Invasion were null and void now.
Problem solved.
They were dumb, and like you didn't even need it. And it was like, man, Marvel just is all over the map lately. And I don't need every movie to be an end game level movie.
Right.
But it's
For
like,
sure.
at least have some direction, at least know where you're going, at least have some consistency here and some sort of roadmap. And I do think that the lawsuit with the dude who played Namor and the lawsuit with Jonathan Majors is really, and the writer's strike and the actor's strike is really shaking a lot of this up. But it just seemed like the movie was so rushed. And I think, I don't know. Like, I thought I'm in agreement with Lance. I thought the Dance Planet stuff was dumb and unneeded. That you literally took your strongest hero, like you played her up to be the strongest person in the MCU, right? She didn't have a lot of screen time in Infinity War because they had to take her out of the mix. She only came in at the end of Endgame to save the day. You have definitively took your strongest female representation character and turned her into a Disney princess.
Yeah.
You turned into a Disney princess during that stupid Song Planet or Dance Planet thing.
I just don't see why that makes her weaker. I think it's okay.
It doesn't, but you kind of took this strong female representation and turned it right back into the Mary Sue, into the damsel in distress by making her a Disney princess.
Yeah, I don't see that.
I see that whole segment that you're talking about, Matt. I see it as their attempt to correct one of our biggest gripes when it came to Captain Marvel, the original movie. The fact that she is so powerful, she has zero emotion. You don't see her at a moment of being a real person in the least. And to me, that scene was their attempt to right those wrongs that they committed, but they overcorrected. I feel
You
like it
wanna
was too light. Does that make
You
sense?
want to depower her? You cut out the stupid after credit scene with Hank, and you have Rogue show up and depower her.
Yeah,
That's what I was gonna say. I hope
That
they
would have
actually
been
do that.
badass.
Is there
Oh
a
my
reason why
gosh.
they went Kelsey Grammer and didn't do something like that?
No
I
idea.
don't know.
Kelsey
mean,
that
Grammer,
would have
they
been
did
like-
it for fan service.
But
Yeah.
Rogue and Captain Marvel are linked in the comics often, right?
Oh, I see what you mean.
And what link does Beast have to Photon? Like, it just seemed so. Yeah, I could
Nothing.
see they attempted it as a fan service, but now it seems empty, right? Like, we all wanted. I thought Kelsey Grammer was great as Beast in the X-Men movies. He's one of the bright spots of those movies. He's perfectly cast. But yes, I would want to see him again, but this just seems so throwaway.
Here's what I think. You want to put them in that movie, that's fine. Here's how I would have ended the Marvels. Captain Marvel is the one who goes to that hole. She's the one in a different dimension. She wakes up unsure what to do. You see her like not knowing where she is. She jumps up, she tries to power up, and then she turns around and there's Ian McKellen's Magneto with the Brotherhood of Mutants and Rogue standing there. And you don't see Rogue, and she starts to power up, and then from behind her you see a hand touch her shoulder, and you hear, I think you should sit this one.
Goosebumps,
I think it's
man.
time for you to sit this one out,
I
Shug.
like that.
And it
I
cuts
like
the
it.
camera, and it's Rogue right behind her taking her powers.
I like that.
A new actress or
That's good. That was good, man.
You could do the same Rogue actress or a new actress either way, but just like you'll know the minute you see the hair with the white stripe, and she's like, I think you should sit this one out, Shug, and just takes her powers, and it's done. So, and that would be like the whole world would go nuts, even more nuts than just.
I'm
seeing
going
Kelsey
nuts right
Grammer as
now.
Beast.
I'm going nuts right now. Just you telling it.
I wonder if there's a reason they couldn't, because that seems like such a simple thing to do. I'm sure somebody thought of that.
Don't be so sure, dude. Don't be so sure.
You don't think
Because
Kevin Feige, who himself has said he's a lover of comic books, thought for a moment about doing something with Rogue?
I bet.
I don't know.
I think it's because they have other plans for Rogue.
I wonder if it's because they want to present this X-Men cast, whoever it may be, in one big grandiose thing. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I think it's because you're gonna get the OG X-Men group of
First.
you're gonna see that OG X-Men group again. So you're gonna get Angel, Iceman, Beast, Cyclops, and Jean Grey. That's why they're saying Wolverine is not going to be part of the MCU moving forward, or not part of the MCU, but part of the X-Men when they debut.
so it's going to be their attempt of like a first class type thing before
I think so,
Wolverine gets there.
Because I
Dude,
think their full
how-
intention, if the rumors are correct, and Deadpool 3 is going to set all this stuff off, and the whole thing with Deadpool 3 is him being a task to find different versions of each character to be like the Omega level of that version to fight in Battle World for Secret Invasion. I think that's why they're going to do Avengers movies with probably Hugh Jackman as Wolverine moving forward, and they're going to use Wolverine as an Avenger and standalone versus putting him with the X-Men.
Huh.
Well, I
I-
mean, they
I-
have talked about bringing Toby in for
Yep.
it. Like, I wonder if they're just itching at the chance to get Toby, Hugh Jackman, and who is the other one? Andrew Garfield, maybe.
But it's interesting to me
Really?
if they're
Like
doing that.
Fassbender would be cool.
It's interesting if they're doing that because of conversations that Tom Holland has recently had, where he said, "I'm not coming back to play Spider-Man unless it means something, unless there's really something in it for me."
I think his means something comment is a passing the torch thing.
I'm not going to come back just to make another Spider-Man movie.
I think he says I'll come back if the movie means something, as in passing the torch to a Miles Morales character.
I don't know if that's what he means, but maybe. I would love to see
I mean,
Miles. By the way, would love to see Miles. in
He's
live
made comments over and over again about how he wants to bring Miles Morales into the.
Well, and it's already been confirmed that he's coming. the live action
Oh, yeah.
Miles is coming, but
that came from
we don't know.
Pascal.
We don't know in what. We don't know in what.
The Sony or the MCU.
You're right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I don't know if I even want that. They can't get they can't get any better than those Spider-Verse movies. There's no way they can improve on that.
The game is like they did a really good job with Miles, in my opinion, in the game.
Oh yeah, I agree.
I mean, if they just adapted those, it would be phenomenal. I mean, the blueprints right there. I mean, it's the first Spider-Man game. He's been Spider-Man for a while. He's living in a shitty apartment. You know,
he's broken up with MJ, but now MJ in this iteration, she has no idea who he is. Get some Doc Ock action. Get Doc Ock in the MCU. I mean, we had him, but like his own Doc Ock.
I mean, if you're adapting comic books, why can't you adapt the video game? Why can't you use that as well as inspiration to adapt?
I mean, you can. Yeah. So this probably take too long. I thought of an idea that I wanted to see if we could do really quick. And luckily, since you have the ability to edit these videos,
we're not. I was thinking we can't do that.
Well, I wanted to just quickly list off movies since Endgame, and I wanted to know, does this movie fill you with rage or not? Because I think there's some movies that just thinking about them make us all just mad.
I don't know if Matt likes this idea. He just went off camera.
He just went off camera.
I don't know if rage. I don't think anything really.
There's only one that pissed me off.
Disappointment, but
yeah, there's only one that there's only one that like pissed me off. The rest of them are just kind of like. Thor.
Well, the reason
bad. Thor: Love and Thunder was.
That's the main one I thought we could all agree on, but Matt was like upset with Wakanda Forever. Like that made him upset. Like that was kind of what made me think of it. It's like, does thinking about Eternals and how they squandered it, if you think that, does that fill you with rage?
I think Eternals are any of those characters like?
I think Eternals, they were trying to do what Guardians of the Galaxy did and take characters no one really knew or cared about and then make people care about them.
They chose the wrong person to run it. If that was the case.
Yeah, it wasn't a very interesting movie at all.
They were all so dull and like self-important. I'm like, nobody was fun.
I liked
it was a dreary movie.
I liked Angelina Jolie.
Of course you did.
I forgot she was in it.
She's not
like I honestly did. Like
Hayek was in it too.
She's not that for me. It's not like I liked her because she's attractive. I liked the fact that she had this element to her where was it that she was forgetting things or remembering things that made her attack her team members?
Hell if I know, dude. I don't remember.
I think it was that she was remembering things.
I thought that was an interesting component. I enjoyed it when it came to her character.
I enjoyed the fact that the guy betrayed them at the end, but like we talk about forgettable movies, I can't remember any of their names.
Yeah,
I think it's just Icarus is the only one I can remember.
I can't remember.
They were all like god names, weren't they? Like medieval, not medieval, Greek mythology.
I don't think they were Greek. Maybe they're Roman gods or something. But
I don't know.
I thought they were all named after like Greek mythology characters, like Icarus.
Maybe they are. Maybe they are. I hear Greek mythology and I'm thinking of like Zeus, and, you know.
But I mean, that's coming. That's the whole thing with her, like Thor, kind of the celestial part. I mean, they fit into the celestial aspect, and Thor's going that route. I mean, they introduced Russell Crowe as Zeus. They have
he sucked.
The dude from Ted Lasso as Hercules. So
I love that actor, but that looked pretty bad. His post credit, he did not look good. Thor. Okay. Lance, I think, is one of the people that's giving me a hard time about this, but my brother and Tyler, who's been on the show in the past, they give me a hard time because they say that I'm just easily pleased and I like everything. And they're right. I'm an easygoing person. Usually on a first watch, I'm like, yeah, I liked that. Thor: Love and Thunder, I remember watching it and I'm like, do I like this? Because like it's rare.
Did it for me.
Oh, but I hated that. Oh, it drove me crazy. I was like, do I like this? And then there are times where I'm like, Natalie Portman sucks in this, and I'm like, am I just being sexist? I was I like all these thoughts.
Questioning your whole identity, like
Kinda. I'm like, do I not?
I thought I was a feminist, but this movie is making me rethink
Like
that.
I'm
a
an
little bit.
alpha male.
I wouldn't call myself a feminist, but like, anyways, like watching that movie, I'm like, Thor, what's going on here? Like the villain's not good. Zeus looks really stupid. Like that's not common for me. So when I walked out of that movie and I'm like, I don't think I liked that. That was a big indicator that things had gone wrong.
For
I don't
people
know.
listening to this show, go watch our video that when we reviewed Thor: Love and Thunder. Ish is hysterical how much he railed against that movie. He was pissed. So you want to talk about movies that induce rage? That he is the primary example of a movie inducing rage. It didn't piss me off. I just was kind of disappointed because I'm like, you guys get Christian Bale to play the God Butcher and you completely waste it. Like, he's one of the best actors of our generation and you wasted it.
Yeah.
And then Taika Waititi himself has said, I like coming in and taking a character that everybody knows and completely deconstructing them and making them to the point where you don't even recognize. And that was my one beef with Ragnarok. Like, Ragnarok is an enjoyable movie. I like that movie, but they took Thor and made him so un-Thor-like, you know, and then Infinity War and Endgame just dialed it up to 11.
Yeah, and I loved all that, honestly. They took a very he was like the least interesting Avenger. When we had Couch Crunchers, I wrote an article about this. I wrote an article about how Thor went from my least favorite to my favorite Avenger. I loved Thor after Infinity War, and I loved him in Endgame.
I think he came the butt of every bad joke.
I think they made him too jokey in Endgame.
Yeah,
I will agree with that. Like the fat joke thing, I've made jokes before. I'm like, oh, it's nice to have some representation as a fat guy. But like, I didn't like it. They went too far with it. And then Love and Thunder, oh my goodness, like, Taika Waititi was a good director for Thor 3, and I get why they had him come back because it was a success, but it was a mistake. It was a mistake.
I think it's more so that like people like Chris Hemsworth.
Yeah.
Like I think that plays a part in it because even the other two Thor movies, like people went and saw them. They weren't busts, you know, box office wise.
Yeah.
So people like Chris Hemsworth. Taika Waititi, Ragnarok, he was enough of the Thor that we know to not make it so different. Love and Thunder just completely threw that out the window. Like everything we knew about the character was all of a sudden gone. But Ragnarok still like held on to some semblance of the character, in my opinion.
Yeah. I agree.
But it kind of ticked me off because a lot of it they borrow from is it Planet Hulk? Is that
some of it?
World War
yeah,
Hulk?
like they have
World War
Meek, World
Yeah.
War Hulk. Thank you. They have Meek in there. They had Korg. Is it Korg?
Yeah.
Mhm.
I'm having brain farts all over the place. And that to me is like an awesome story, but they changed Meek to where he was like this slug. And in the book, he's like this like ant wasp thing. Like he doesn't have wings. He's like almost like a praying mantis kind of like, and he talks like he's not this inanimate object, you know, like they did in the movie. And Korg is like, they made him stupid in the movie, but in the book, he's like a strong warrior for his people. Like he's not dumb at all. So they took elements from World War Hulk and added them to Ragnarok, and then now it feels like we'll never get an awesome like World War Hulk movie the way the book was because they wasted all these elements.
Sorry, it sounds like I missed a riveting conversation here. I had to excuse myself because I heard some commotion, so I thought my wife might have been going into labor. It turns out she was just continuing the 20-minute conversation I had last night with our toddler about why we can't poop in the shower.
Oh man,
Hard
We
lesson
all-
you must learn.
yeah, yep. I've got a kid. Yeah, that's funny.
But what do you guys think of the notion? Do you feel, looking at Marvel lately, and I want to get off the Marvel train and get into some of the stuff you guys want to talk about, because we've been talking about this for a while and we talk about Marvel a lot on this show. But do you feel that Marvel's kind of going the way of DC here, where it's becoming more about the dollar versus the quality of the movie, where before they were going and getting no-name actors or actors who have been blacklisted or, you know, chased out of Hollywood, like Robert Downey Jr. and Mickey Rourke, and giving them another chance and reigniting their career. And they're going with those no names, and they're giving you the actor and the performance over the almighty dollar. And now, to me, and I don't know if you guys agree, it feels like they're chasing the dollar, where, you know, we got the announcement that Pedro Pascal is going to be Reed Richards, and, you know,
Is that confirmed?
yes,
It's
Is
not.
it really?
It's not. From what I've seen, it's not.
almost a done deal. And
It's an awful
so
casting.
you got it just seems
Well,
like
just the fact of the matter, he's like turning into Chris Pratt. Like, Chris Pratt doesn't have to do everything. Like, the dude's the voice of Garfield now.
he shouldn't be Garfield. His Garfield voice is atrocious.
His Mario voice was atrocious. It was Chris Pratt
Yeah,
with a bad Brooklyn accent.
this is Chris Pratt. Just Chris Pratt.
It's the Latino version of Chris Pratt is what Pedro Pascal is.
I have not been upset with any Pedro Pascal casting until this one. Like, even Joel, like, when I heard it, I was like, that's not amazing, but I think it'll be good. And then he was
It could have
awesome
been
as Joel
better.
in the
It
last
could have
one.
been. Last of Us was awesome, but it could have been better if it wasn't Pedro Pascal.
I think they could have got a better Ellie, honestly. I think he was fine as Joel. But yes, Matt, to answer your question, because I was starting to get us off track there. Yes, I think it's all about the money. I wish they would hire no names that we have no idea who they are for more of these roles.
Yeah, that might be because, you know, before that, who else were they chasing? Adam Driver, another big name.
And meanwhile, the
you know.
fans are screaming from the rooftops, give us John Krasinski.
Yeah,
They're not doing it.
Emily Blunt and John. Only if Emily Blunt was attached to that too. That would have
She
been
already said
Well, and then
absolutely not.
I mean, you've had talks of Giancarlo Esposito as being Professor Xavier and Denzel Washington being Magneto, and I feel like there's so many other actors out there that we haven't heard about that could really like take those roles and take them to the next level. Like, it just seems like Marvel is starting to do the DC and chase that dollar to try and get names that are going to put butts in seats because of the way their movies are going, versus going back to the formula that made them such a powerhouse to begin with.
And then DC's almost now with James Gunn and like what they're starting to do. They're starting to do what Marvel did in 2008.
Well, that's the reason you hired
Where
James
Yeah,
Mhm.
where they've got, I don't even know who the guy who's playing Superman is. He's not an actor I've ever heard of. Yes, they got
Yeah.
Nicholas Hoult to be Lex Luthor. He's a name that's known, but he's not an A-list actor,
No.
you know. So it's like DC's starting to get their groove potentially. We haven't seen any of the new movies.
Oh, I
And
hope
Marvel
so.
is falling
man.
into. Yeah, I
Can
hope
I
so.
can I say I wonder though if Fantastic Four is a bad film to use as an example for this, because the reason for that is because we've had Fantastic Four adapted technically 3 times as a movie, but 2 times in recent memory, and neither of them did that great, right? The last one specifically, it went down as one of the worst comic film adaptations ever. And the only recognizable, I mean, Miles Teller, like, we know who he is and he did things, but he
Michael
wasn't.
B. Jordan.
He wasn't. Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Michael B. Jordan's the only one in that movie that you're like, people knew who he was. But even Miles Teller, like, some people knew but he wasn't this marquee name.
Right.
You know what I mean? So they went with unknowns and it bombed hard. Now, I think that it's an overcorrection, right? Because the reason that movie bombed is not because of the people I liked Michael B. Jordan as Johnny Storm. I was perfectly I don't care if they made him black or whatever. I know that bothered some people, but it wasn't the people they cast, in my opinion. It was
Sue Storm was a bad casting, but
the story. But it could have been fine. It could have been fine if the script was good.
Yeah.
You know, it wouldn't. Kate Mara wouldn't have.
and I like
She
Kate
didn't
Mara.
bother-
By the way. She just
she
wasn't a
didn't-
good cast for that.
She didn't bother me. Like it wasn't because of anybody that was cast in that movie. It's because of what they did to Doctor Doom. They made him like, I don't even remember. Was his skin like translucent?
I saw it one time in theaters. That's it, and I remember just
too.
thinking, and it was like they brought him in, and he was gone within like 10 minutes. It was that was another big issue that I had.
I don't think it was anybody. They made the Thing look awful. I mean,
it looked dumb.
like if you would have taken the way the characters look from the first two movies with Jessica Alba, and then cast those actors and like actually kept the source material as far as the way they look, I think it probably could have done better. But the story was just kind of dumb. It wasn't the casting issue. But I wonder if that's the effect. They're like, we don't want this movie to fail, so we need to attach somebody that everybody knows who he is, and this person will be our draw.
But that doesn't mean that it's not going to fail, because they took
Oh,
a
I
chance with
agree.
Robert Downey Jr. and it was a home run. There, like you could get Andrew Lincoln from The Walking Dead would be a great Reed Richards. By them doing Pedro Pascal, someone that they've worked with in the past and has done with the Mandalorian and all this other stuff, he feels like a safe play, because they're like, oh well,
I agree.
he's got a big name and he's got things attached to him, so we're gonna do this and chase that dollar to get butts and seats, because people love Pedro and the Mandalorian. They'll come see him in Fantastic Four instead of going with, you know, a young up, even like a Timothy Chalamet or, you know, in that movie or anyone else. Like it just feels like even Mahershala Ali coming off of his Oscar win for Moonlight, it felt like they were like, oh well, he's gonna be Blade. And even that far back, they were
That's
just
falling
He
apart.
didn't win for Moonlight. I thought it was Green Book.
no. I thought he won for Moonlight.
No, Moonlight won Best Picture.
Oh, whatever.
Mahershala Ali won for Green
Okay,
Book.
but still fresh off his Oscar win.
Yeah, that's true.
They're like, oh well, he's gonna be our Blade, and they're just trying to get these names that are gonna put you butts and seats, and they're getting away from the Marvel formula of straight up no name actors, good scripts, and now they're going for, and now
Well-
it's been big name actors, mediocre scripts.
I think Mahershala Ali is
Less than mediocre.
I think you have to add a sub note to that, right? I don't think they had many plans to adapt Blade. Mahershala Ali for 2 years prior to that was saying, I want to play Blade. I want to play Blade. He went to Kevin Feige and said, I want to play Blade. He pushed that.
And I think he's a great cast for that. Like that
Yeah, he'd
is
be cool.
It comes
That'd be
down
very
to,
cool.
I think he's too small too. Compared to Wesley Snipes. Wesley Snipes was a powerhouse. Mahershala Ali's like a very slender guy, like, but I thought he was great in the
he could put on some bulk.
maybe
Yeah,
you think
you don't
so, but
know.
they didn't make Letitia Wright do that, so who knows? But I thought he was great as was it Cottonmouth that he played?
Yes.
Yeah.
Luke
Cage.
Cage. Yeah.
When he's in there, that's the best part of that whole show. And then they kill him halfway through, and you're like, oh, now this show sucks. It really dropped off after they kill him. But he was pushing to be Blade. I think there's certain characters that push and push and push and push. You know, Ryan Reynolds, like they had no, I mean, they had him do the test footage. They dangled a carrot in front of him with Wolverine Origins and sewed his mouth shut and all this shit. And then that thing just sat on a shelf until he leaked that clip.
I think everyone pretty much is in the general consensus that he's the one that leaked it.
Yeah, I think so
Yeah,
too.
he pushed it. He wanted to be that character. How do you go through? How does he leak that clip? And then they're saying, "Hey, Remember that Deadpool clip that you like so much? Like, well, now Jay Castro is going to be Deadpool.
Well, especially like in the way that like he's doing it now with Deadpool 3, where he's like, oh, listen, all these leaks are coming out and you got to save something for the magic of the movies. But then he's like, oh, well, I'm going to start leaking stuff. And he's putting out all these fake leaks. And I can see where it's like
Predator in it.
Well, it's him, Liam Hemsworth, and it's him, Liam Hemsworth, and Hugh Jackman standing in front of Predator. And then there's one where like Mickey Mouse in the background clapping, and he's walking with a giant bag of money.
Yeah.
Was that Liam Hemsworth? I thought that was a stunt double.
No, it looks like it's Liam Hemsworth.
Because that's not photoshopped. The one I'm thinking of that I saw. Like
it might be stunt double. It looks like I'll show you the one I'm looking at right now. It looks like Liam Hemsworth.
I think it's a stunt double. Because that's not photoshopped. The second Wolverine that's standing there.
Like,
well,
I don't want to turn off notifications. Get out of here.
Yeah,
that looks like Liam Hemsworth.
It slightly resembles him.
It might be his stunt double, but it looks like Liam Hemsworth. But your stunt double is a foot taller, almost 2 feet taller than your actor.
In what universe was that 2 feet, bro?
Dude.
He might be 4 inches taller.
4 inches is all you need.
Standing in front of Predator. That's right.
You're here, Max. You're here.
I've known better men that have done less with 4 inches than.
Oh man, I'm looking at like 2 feet. Predator maybe 2 feet. Yeah, I don't think that's not photoshopped. I can tell that was in the picture. So if it's Liam Hemsworth,
and there's the one
giant
where they're on set and Hugh Jackman's walking across the 20th Century Fox logo and Urkel's sitting there dancing.
Yeah, I saw that.
Wasn't there one where he's like holding a bag of money and like
Mickey Mouse is in it? Yeah.
It's crazy, man. It's so crazy how much Ryan Reynolds just gets that character of Deadpool.
Yeah.
He just gets it more than anybody else would. It's fantastic.
I think it comes natural to him. Like, because I think that's how he is. Maybe not as crude and like, not crude. That might not be the right word. But maybe not as over the top as Deadpool is. But when you watch Welcome to Wrexham and you see him like his Mint Mobile commercials and you see him out like what he does with his wife, like posting on Twitter, like he Blake Lively and Taylor Swift posted a picture and then Ryan Reynolds took that same picture and put his face and somebody else, I don't remember who it was, and said happy birthday to my lovely wife or something like that. Like they're constantly messing with each other. So I feel like at his core, he is kind of the Deadpool we see on screen. It just looks natural.
Like it's a birthday message to her and she's like crudely photoshopped out of the photo, or like it's only like half her face or something. You see,
and she does it back. Like that's just the kind of. But I feel like when you get these people, like I feel like Robert Downey Jr., like Tony Stark is way over the top and pompous and stuff. But you watch interviews of Robert Downey Jr. and like, oh, there's a little bit of Tony Stark in him, like in his personality. You know what I mean? What we saw on screen. There's a little bit, it feels like Hugh Jackman. There seems to be a little bit like the way he's portraying Wolverine, a little bit in him. You look at Brie Larson and where the fuck is Captain? I don't see any of it.
Well, Captain Marvel doesn't have much of a personality in comics anyway. She really does.
I mean, she does. She's got more personality in the books than they're portraying on the screen, that's for sure. But
yeah, little, not a whole lot. Because I mean, Wolverine definitely has a persona. Deadpool definitely. Even Iron Man, I feel like pre-Iron Man movie, he wasn't funny like Robert Downey.
No, they made
like charming. Like that's something he put into it.
I feel like he was charming. Like I was reading, I have the Essential Iron Man book that has like all of his first comics, and I was reading them with William, and I feel like there was a charm there, the little bit of the womanizer.
Yeah, there was that for sure.
Well, you can't be a womanizer unless you're charming.
Well, I mean, like cutesy and funny, and
the humor thing. It was more sarcastic humor, like like pompous humor. Is that a right way to say it?
Yeah.
It wasn't as like sarcastic, I guess.
Yeah. No, I think Robert Downey Jr. injected way more of a likability into that character. But I mean, Chris Hemsworth played Captain America pretty full on, you know.
Chris Evans.
Or Chris Evans, yeah. But I don't know.
But then you watch interviews with Chris Evans, you're like, oh, he's not that different than what we saw on screen. Like they did a good job of kind of incorporating some of these people's real personalities into the character, and I think they became easier to play, which I think is necessary if you're asking somebody to play a character for 20 years.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Either somebody like was really good at casting, or they, I don't know, got lucky in a lot of aspects. I don't know.
I think they can fix everything. I hope. Bob Iger's comment of, hey, we focused way more on agendas and things like that, and we need to get back into telling stories first and being storytellers first. I have no problem with putting, I mean, they've been doing that since the dawn of time, right?
Yeah, but Bob Iger also said that the reason that the Marvels is failing is because there wasn't enough suits on the set calling the shots.
That was not.
I don't know about that.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, Kevin Feige was heavily involved in all the other shootings. Maybe he's one of those people that wasn't on the set.
Yeah,
it does feel like there was no direction in that movie.
Yeah.
I mean, if they filmed the movies that we all love and there was suits on the set, and then this movie feels like there's no direction and there was no suits on the set, I could see how you could connect those dots. You know, maybe some overhead. Not micromanage, but I don't know.
Let's steer away from the MCU and Marvel for a minute, and I want to talk a little bit about, with the release of Monarchs on Apple TV, Godzilla -1, in the Kong x Godzilla trailer we got. It kind of feels like the end of 2023 and 2024 is shaping up to make the year of the Kaiju movie, the strong return of the Kaiju movie. How do you guys feel about that? Are you guys excited about more Kong and Godzilla stuff?
What is Godzilla -1?
Oh, you haven't heard about it?
Yeah, it's like the new Godzilla movie that's in the theaters right now that's killing it. It's breaking all kinds of records.
It was relatively low budget Japanese film, so it's all like subtitled. I almost went and saw it last night, but I ended up seeing Napoleon instead. I wish I would have gone to see Godzilla, honestly. Napoleon kind of wasn't that great. But so I'm going to say this. I'm not into the kaiju stuff. Like, it's not, I like it fine, but I'm not like in love with it. I decided to watch the Monarch Monsters. I forget what the show's called, but I'm 3 episodes in. It's really good. And now I'm like, ooh, now I really need to go see Godzilla -1.
It barely has any monsters in it. It's about the people, and they don't lead you.
It has enough monsters to be interesting.
Oh, that's
but it's
good.
not the same. It's not the same as Godzilla versus Kong, right?
Yeah.
The marquee of that movie is Godzilla versus Kong, and yet you're showing 11 from Stranger Things most of the time. I think it was who was in it.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? You call it Godzilla. It's like saying, "Hey, check out this fight between Conor McGregor and Floyd Mayweather," and then you just show Trump sitting in his seat. That's Godzilla versus Kong.
So which one's Kong? Would that be Trump? No, I don't know. I tried to make a bad joke. Never mind.
Oh,
anyway, I'm excited, dude. I'm excited for kaiju stuff for sure.
I don't think I've ever heard that term. Like, is that just Japanese monster movies? Is that what kaiju is?
This definitely isn't your genre if you've never heard that term.
Yeah.
Because like it's a really common
not.
term, and it's not my genre. Yeah, kaiju. It's just like the big monsters. That's what.
Is Power Rangers a kaiju thing?
No,
they could be called that, but
they're
no.
Super Sentai.
So Power Rangers is not kaiju. Like when they're big, that's not considered kaiju.
Super Sentai.
So what? I guess maybe I need to look it up. I've never heard this term.
You've never heard of the term kaiju, huh?
You've probably heard it because I think it's in the movies, but fair enough if it hasn't like resonated with you.
Now you know how I felt when Max was talking about all this game
DLC. What's DLC?
What does that stand for, Max? What's the download?
I'm excited. I haven't even seen the trailer though for the Godzilla Kong team up.
You're probably better off for it.
Really does it look dumb?
Yeah, I'm not a fan, dude. They give Kong an Infinity Gauntlet.
What?
Yep. Kong's got an Infinity Gauntlet, and Godzilla has gone through some sort of power up where now his blast is like it's like neon pink
Huh.
or neon
like-
red. Yeah,
I like the blue.
yeah.
Yeah. That's
Next,
weird.
they're going to be talking and freaking having like a best friend.
Yeah,
that's
it's
like a
not.
rabbit.
You're playing chess.
I know a lot of people are stoked about it because I mean we've got that, and then DC is currently doing Kong versus Godzilla versus the Justice League. So it's
Dude,
like
I
a
didn't
comic
animated?
drop.
Is that an animated?
No, it's a comic
in
book.
comics. Yeah,
Oh, okay.
and then you're
That
getting
by
the
DC or IDW?
DC,
DC.
and then you're getting the Godzilla -1, and you're getting again another Kong versus Godzilla movie. I figured that after the less than stellar performance of Godzilla versus Kong, they wouldn't do that. They'd move away from that, but
I think it
I
made
was wrong.
money. I think it made money. It just wasn't a critical darling.
all
Yeah,
these
that one
kaiju movies
released
are
day and
though,
date
'cause
on
they're-
HBO Max.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think
they are-
it made enough money to warrant a sequel. It just wasn't critically accepted, if I remember correctly.
Well, it clearly made enough because they're doing another movie. Like it.
Yeah.
But I just don't
I'm-
get it. Like Monarch just seems like a really good character piece. And then you come like the Kong movie like doesn't feel like it fits at all. And isn't there an animated show that's like out too that's in that universe?
I think there's one on Netflix.
Yeah, I had a
Oh,
question
boy.
about that. So Monarch is on Apple TV, the animated movie is on Netflix, and then the movies aren't those on Max?
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
starting to think Godzilla might be a public domain property though, because there's a lot of studios doing
That would make sense.
Godzilla stuff.
But Monarch itself is like it shows clips from the movie. Like it's attached to the movies.
To the
So
movie.
which movies? The Aaron Taylor Johnson one, and then the
Yeah.
All
the
of them.
11 one.
And Skull Island, the Kong movie.
Oh.
That's right. It is show.
It's all attached.
Island
And
stuff, yeah.
isn't Kurt Russell in one of the movies?
No, I don't
No,
think so.
I think it's just the show.
That's how forgettable.
There's
those movies are.
they're retconning things a bit with the show, but in a fun way.
John Goodman's in this show in the beginning.
Aaron Taylor Johnson was in one of the movies.
Yeah.
Brian
show-
Cranston was in one of the movies, and then
Yeah. The show is a sequel to that Godzilla movie, the one from 2014.
No, but it's also Skull Island.
Yeah, but it just the show, like the set piece of the show is that the attack on San Francisco from that movie just happened like 6 months earlier or whatever. But yes, Skull Island takes place in the same universe. I'm just saying Godzilla v Kong, that hasn't happened yet in this world. It's just the fallout of the first big public monster attack and then what led up to that.
It does feel like you could take the first Godzilla, Skull Island, and this and watch those separately and not
Yeah.
have to watch anything else.
Yeah, for sure. I'm not into the monster stuff. This show is great. I'm loving it. It's super good. I haven't been watching like any TV lately. When I have free time, I've been playing games. That's it. This is making me be like, well, I know that new Avatar game came out, but I want to watch this show. Like it's really good.
Hmm.
Apple TV, I feel like puts a lot of effort into their shows.
Yes, the monsters look like pretty good movie budget. And I was watching this on my iPad. I had a work trip the last couple of days. I watched it on an iPad, so I can only imagine how much better it's going to look on my 65-inch TV. Like,
Yeah,
it's a good looking show.
but they put a lot of effort into making their stuff good. There's a
I
show
agree.
I'm watching on there called Slow Horses. It's 3 seasons. I binged the first 2 seasons. It's great. But Ted Lasso's from
is
that.
Is that the Gary Oldman one?
I like it a lot.
Yeah, I haven't watched it yet, but it's on my watch list.
But they put a lot of effort. They don't have a big library either. I think the last article I read said they had like 70 like films and shows on their network compared to Netflix that has hundreds of original things on theirs.
I
Apple
prefer-
TV like puts a lot of effort into
I
their
prefer
shit.
the Apple stuff because it's like there's less and it's all quality. Give me quality, not quantity.
And they only charge you $5 a month.
I think it's like 8, but
It's
way
going up
cheaper.
now. I think
Yeah.
it's going to 9.
It's still not Netflix.
No,
No.
yeah. And Netflix
But-
is kind of starting to go more like reality TV with all their like Love is Blind stuff. And now they have the Squid Games reality TV show, which was really good.
We've been
Oh, I
talking about
just finished
canceling it.
that.
I've been
What,
talking about it
Netflix?
too.
Yeah.
I mean, it's $22 a month, I think is what we pay.
Yeah.
I watched the Matt Rife comedy special, but other than that, I can't remember the last time I used Netflix.
I like Matt Rife. I watched that comedy special. I was bored.
Oh, I was too. It took me 3 sittings.
So you don't even bother finishing.
So,
I think his clips are funny, but his
Yeah.
special was not.
Well, his whole thing was he's been labeled as a comedian for women, and that's what made him successful. And then he comes out with this special, and he's like, "Hey, I'm a guy's guy too," and completely abandoned what made him good.
well,
to
you
try
kind
to,
of
like,
That's the narrative, but my understanding is his comedy's always been like that. It's just not what he posted.
I've seen
yeah,
full
women
things on
swoon
YouTube.
over him.
I've seen full segments of his shows on YouTube, and they were nothing like that special.
Oh,
So
really?
he may say, and he used to be on Wild and Out, so I've known about him for years. He was on Wild and Out and got blasted because he made some comment to Zendaya. So I've known about him for at least.
Do you know
7,
who
8
this
years.
is, Jay? He's on the Ticker
No.
Talk.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no wonder. I'm not.
He's a good-looking comedian. He is really funny. It's just special, like kind of false.
I don't know about that ticker talk.
Ticker
I
Talk.
don't know.
He's
Can't push
obviously
the
on
right
other
buttons.
things, but he got famous on TikTok.
Mhm.
As we kind of wind down the show, I want to know what movies are you guys looking forward to the remainder of the year? Because we're coming to the end of 2023. What's coming to theaters that really you're excited about?
That's a
I don't even know what's coming, dude.
Nothing.
yeah. I'm trying. to
Nothing for the
think.
rest of this year,
Really?
but Dune 2 for next year. That
you
I'm
have
very
no
excited
interest
Yeah,
in
about.
that should-
Wonka?
No, 0. And
Oh,
Aquaman, I'm gonna go see Aquaman, but I'm not stoked for it.
Yeah, I'll see it for sure, but no.
So if
hope
you need
for
an
that.
answer of what I'm gonna see, yeah, I'll see Aquaman. Wonka looks awful.
Hey, Farrah Fawcett's husband died.
Oh, Ryan O'Neal.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's weird. I thought he was already.
I'm
dead.
I'm looking forward to Wonka. I really want to see that. I'm kind of bummed because we're getting ready to have
Wonka's
our
probably it. I hear it's good.
we're getting ready to have our second kid on Wednesday. So as this episode's going up, we'll be at the hospital getting ready to induce labor the next day.
Nice.
But I'm sad with that because I won't be able to see Wonka. And I really want to see the A24 movie that's coming out, Iron Claw, about the
Zac Efron.
yeah, it's gonna be a heartbreaker. Because if anybody who's a wrestling fan that knows about the Von Erich family, it's a massive tragedy. But I'm super excited to see that movie, to see the take on it. Lance, I gotta ask you, did you watch Good Burger 2?
I did. I watched it the day it came out.
What do you think?
It was fucking stupid, and it checked every box for me.
Pretty
I
much.
wanted the dumbest, like most brain dead movie possible, because that's what the first one is, right? Just dumb and brain dead, and it checked every single box for me. I watched it by myself. I didn't even watch it with my kids. I watched it by myself, and I was loving every second.
I'm sorry, I have to give a revised answer. It's not coming to theaters, and I know this is very on brand for me. Rebel Moon. Very excited for Rebel Moon.
Oh yeah, for sure. Me too.
Give me a good Zack Snyder movie. I'm in. I simp for that man.
Yes, we know.
They're making a new Mean Girls movie.
Yeah.
A musical.
It's
Yeah.
based off the Broadway musical. It's kind
Yep.
of
Yeah.
weird, but whatever.
Wonka looks good, and I feel like there's a Mark Wahlberg movie coming out that I thought looked kind of funny.
I think that's
Apple TV, I think.
yeah, it reminds me of like it's the same thing like as like all the big action stars have done this genre movie, like Vin Diesel and The Pacifier, Jackie Chan did one. yeah, kind of where like the dad is like this super spy espionage type who becomes a family man or is protecting a family type deal.
Yeah, it looks kind of funny.
It looks very much on brand with the majority of the movies that he's come out with as of late.
Yeah.
The one with Kevin Hart and they're funny. We watched Anna and I watched that new one with Ed Helms and
Oh, like Freaky Friday.
yeah.
Part
And there's
2.
a joke in there. There's a joke in there that Anna got up to get like popcorn or something, and this joke comes on, and I had to rewind it. She goes, "Oh, our situation's totally unique. I mean, nobody wakes up one morning and is big." And he's like, "Oh, it's so freaky." And then like they make these passing in one joke. Each of them make these passing references to every movie that has done exactly what. And I laughed. It got me. It's dumb. It's cute. You watch it with your kids. But yeah, 2023, I mean, it's kind of been a letdown. And do you think that's due to the actor strike?
Absolutely, because they pushed everything that was supposed to come. We were supposed to have Ghostbusters this year.
Oh,
We were supposed to
yeah.
have all these other
Dude.
movies that got pushed to next year and out because of the actor strike. So
When is Ghostbusters coming out now? I don't is
It
it
doesn't have an
February?
official release date. I think it's just I
Oh,
think it's
wow.
like spring or something.
Yeah. That's like February, March. Yeah. March, April.
I thought it had an official release date.
I mean, I could be wrong, but when I
March
was at
29th, 2024.
Okay, cool.
That one I'm stoked for.
Yeah, I think it looks really good. I think it
I've
looks
watched
really
it.
good.
We went and saw I don't even remember what we saw, but we went and saw the Marvels. I took the boys to see the Marvels. See, that's how forgettable that movie is. And the Ghostbusters trailer came up, and my son, who's basically a mini me, just stood up and started clapping. William is so fucking excited. The kid, I showed him Back to the Future at the beginning of the year, like all 3 movies. He watched them all in one day and has since seen them at least that I can think of like 12 times each.
That
He's
is
obsessed.
promising.
He
Green
is.
Rant says Ghostbusters Frozen Empire is so good it gave Dan Aykroyd faith in carrying on the franchise.
Wow.
That's high remarks right there.
But Dan Aykroyd also said that the Answer Your Call with all the women was phenomenal and blah, blah, blah. So you ask Dan Aykroyd about Ghostbusters, he's always going to give it glowing praise.
It was
I
Bill
want to
Murray
know.
thing.
I want to know what Bill Murray thinks.
Yeah, right. He liked the script enough to come back.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, that's good.
because what I remember from the last one, the Afterlife, he said that's it. He's done. Like he's not coming back. And he's in the trailer for this new one. So
Yeah.
but he also said he was done after the all-female thing, and then he came back to Afterlife. So maybe he's just a liar. I don't know.
He knows how to negotiate for more money.
I just think it's more like Bill Murray's bored. And if he gets a good movie when he's bored, he's like, all right, cool.
Well, what's funny is if you Dan Aykroyd did an interview, it might have been with like Conan or something like that, and he's talking about like even with the first Ghostbusters, Bill Murray said he was going to do it. Nobody knew if he was going to show up, and he like ghosted everybody through this whole thing, and then 5 minutes before they start rolling cameras, he just walks on set.
Yeah, because from what I've heard, Bill Murray's kind of like one of those guys. He doesn't have an agent or anything like
Right.
that. Like you got to call him if you want him to do parts, and you leave him, and he never like checks his answering machine or anything like that. So
You never know if he's coming.
Yeah, you got to just catch him at the right time to get him to do movies. So that's cool though. You can be busy.
Bill Murray's like
cracking
a
weddings
legend.
and-
Like I know that dude has got like he's got some controversy following him lately.
Everyone does.
But the Bill Murray stories, like I feel like it's as big of a thing as like the 7 Degrees of Kevin Bacon. You know what I'm talking about? Like that game that like it's just this like urban thing, right?
Yeah.
And Bill Murray is just kind of that. He shows up at random weddings. I don't know. He's just like a mythical creature.
Well, while we're getting ready to wind down the show here, I want to turn it over to our guests and see if there's anything else that Max or Jay really want to talk about or touch on, and hand the floor over to you guys.
Not really. Just been just reading comics. Yeah, I don't watch a lot of TV. The stuff I do watch is just old crap. Like I'm barely getting into The Boys.
Oh man.
And I'm barely getting into like Reacher. I was like, oh,
Dude,
people have told me that this show's good.
Yeah,
I
season 2
rewatched
was
it.
Did you?
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, these are pretty good. Especially the writers. I think the writers strike. I mean, there's just not a lot on. So I decided, like, oh yeah, people say that this show was good, and I totally freaking disregarded it. I haven't even seen any episodes of Invincible either.
Oh,
I haven't
man.
started
Is that on a break, Matt?
Yeah, so they did 4 episodes, and then now it's on a break until next year.
Oh my
Good,
god!
maybe I
I've
can
been
catch
going to
up.
Prime every day. I was like, what day does this fucking show come out?
It comes out on Fridays.
Yeah. Well, I thought maybe
So,
it was on a break.
I'm a catching up.
nice. That's awesome, Jay.
Yeah, look at this guy making his way.
As for
Whoa.
me, there's nothing else we need to talk about. I will say I am beyond excited for Final Fantasy VII Rebirth coming out in February. But yeah, this year's winding down. It's been nice. It's been a great year for gaming, and less so for movies. Pretty good TV though. But yeah.
All right, strap in as I'm asking this because I'm already regretting it. Lance, anything that we missed on that you want to touch on?
No, except I pre-ordered a bunch of records from high school days that I'm pretty stoked about. The Taking Back Sunday 2 different records are coming. I got Motion City Soundtrack today for $7 at Urban Outfitters.
Urban Outfitters.
Yeah, they have fucking. So we were at Chandler Mall.
Oh, let's open
I
it up.
regret it.
No.
I'm regretting.
We were at Chandler Mall. We walked by and I said, oh, because Anna wanted something for Christmas. So I remember in Outfitters on their website, they have all these great punk bands, these vinyls. I walk in there and it's all hip hop and pop. I'm like, what a fucking letdown, man. And then just way back, I found one Motion City Soundtrack record that said $25. I brought it up and it was $7.50. I was like,
they got it by accident.
Yeah.
Closing it out.
But it was all Harry Styles, One Direction, Taylor Swift. And I said, what happened to the freaking, like, they had Rancid on their website and like all these awesome old school punk records. And I walk in there, it was Lana Del Rey and Mac Miller.
They're gonna stock what they think they can sell.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
They had the Freaky Friday soundtrack.
Hmm.
Like just weird random shit.
Well, you were at Urban Outfitters.
I've never been to that store in my life. I thought it was like a novel, like Spencer's, but with like records based on their website. And I walk in, it reminded me of like Tilly's kind of.
Oh, really?
I had no idea what Urban Outfitters was.
Where is there one around here?
And we were at Chandler Mall.
Oh, that's the
yes,
uppity. That's the upscale mall.
Chandler Fashion Square Mall.
Yeah, my kids wanted to go to Shields. That
I don't
new,
even know what that is.
it's like Dick's Sporting
Yeah,
Goods,
it's
like
Bass Pro Shop vibes. It's cool.
Bass Pro Shop. It has a huge Ferris wheel inside. Like it's a cool store.
I have no place. I have no reason to go there.
It's actually cool. They have like a toy thing,
My
like
name's Jay.
Legos.
I have
have
no
toys?
reason to leave my house.
Yeah, it's
No,
it's
not
like
just go there. What the hell am I going to do at Bass Pro Shop?
they had it's like
Bass,
Walmart
Pros,
and
and
Bass
Shop.
Pro like meet.
I
Like, they
am
have
neither.
They have a huge toy department. They have a Ferris wheel inside. They have
They sell grills in there.
Buy a life jacket for no
Grills,
other
like
reason than
fitness
just to say you
equipment.
have a life jacket.
Just wear it in my car.
bunch of Legos that I have that I thought that were discontinued, like a bunch of Star Wars Legos that not even the Lego store had, and they were in there. So
Interesting.
it's a cool store. Monet
They have
would probably
toys
like
on
it. You should
there.
take Monet down there.
Not enough of a reason.
My kids were all like wide-eyed.
Oh, crazy. Well, if they have toys, I'm there. Otherwise, they can suck it.
Huge toy section.
Really?
You heard
Oh,
it here
okay.
first, folks. If you have toys, Jay's there. Otherwise, suck it.
I
That's
will
a
be
good
there.
note.
That's
to end
that's
the
how
show.
Lance gets Jay to come hang out with him. He's like, well, let's hang out. And Jay's like, suck it. And Lance is like, I've got toys. And Jay's like, all right, I'm there.
What kind of toys are we talking here?
My joke was going to be completely different. Jay wants to play with toys with your kids, so.
Whoa. Come on now.
What?
Time out.
I got toys, boys and girls.
Chris Hansen, you can find him at
Ew,
Lance
gross.
Pepperoni and at address 13.
I put the creep. He's the one wanting to play with toys.
You're the one that thought about it in a weird way, but
Yeah, you're verbalizing it.
all right. Well, I want to thank Max and Jay for joining us tonight, and thank you everyone for tuning in and checking out this brand new episode of the Absolute Geek Podcast. Who knows when we'll do another one? One day, maybe
We got a
next week,
baby coming, so
maybe 3 weeks, maybe 4 months. Who knows? Like, I'm not gonna sit here and tell you, oh, we'll be back next week because we're just a bunch of liars. So
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Merry Christmas.
Happy Hanukkah, Merry Christmas, Happy Easter. Just throw it all in there just to cover our bases.
Happy
But
New Year 2026.
yes, I do have a new baby on the way, as I stated before, so that's gonna kind of maybe throw a hiccup in some things. But
Do you have a
I want
name?
to get.
That's
We
what I was
don't
gonna
have a name. We
Don't
don't
have a
have a
name
name
yet.
Mm-mm. What we have several names, but my wife is one of those people, and I am too, who we both believe in the strength and power behind a name, and we want to make sure that we see the baby before we name
Yeah,
her.
dude. That makes a lot of
So-
sense.
Yeah, I get that.
It's like my wife wanted Luca, which I think is a beautiful name, but when Logan came out, I was like, she is not a Luca. I
Not a
was
Luca.
like, Logan hit me right away, and I was like, it's definitely Logan. So
I can't imagine you calling her Luca. That's
Yeah,
weird.
No. yeah, it's because she's a Logan. It just fits her. So
Cool.
I just believe in strong names. So we'll see.
We almost named
our
our kiddo Edward, but that does not fit. Or Charles. That was another name on the list. Like, no,
It's because he didn't sparkle. He didn't sparkle, and he wasn't in charge. So
Edward.
therefore,
Edward's better than Charles. I would have called your kid Chuck. I promise you. Your
Chucky.
kid would have been Chucky.
absolutely. My wife actually said that. Yeah. Well, no, she said the other day. She goes, when I look at Max's son when he posts pictures, all I see is Junior from
Problem child.
Problem Child. Yeah, like especially when you've got him in like the little bow tie when you're going to church and stuff. He looks like Junior Healy
Yeah.
from Problem Child.
With John, was that with
Yeah.
John Ritter?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's got like the little bowl cut a little bit. Like it's I did not
The
even
red
realize
hair.
that till you said it.
That's a good call.
Max is
Um,
frantically looking it up.
I am
Yeah.
looking it up. I have no idea what this is.
You've never seen the
Okay.
Problem Child
Problem
movies?
Child?
No, I've never heard of it.
Oh,
Okay,
There's two of them. It was big.
I can see it. My kid's a cute kid. This is a cute kid. I got you.
He's not in the movie.
yeah.
Well,
Oh,
it's the way
yeah.
he
He's
acts.
a bit of an asshole.
My
Your
kid is not. My
No,
kid's a
your
good
kid is
kid.
not. But
He's
in
a
this
sweetheart.
movie, I think he puts like firecrackers in his dad's shoes or something.
Oh, so he
Yeah.
is the problem child.
That's the
Okay.
whole point of the movie. He's like
Okay.
the world's worst kid.
Okay, all right.
Like Dennis
Yeah,
the Menace. if
my
Dennis the
son
Menace
does
been
have
like
that haircut though, for sure. I have tried to talk my wife into taking him in to get a proper haircut. And she's like, no, he's got the little boy haircut. We're gonna keep it as long as we can. And I've lost that fight. So, but he
I can
looks cute
understand
or
that.
whatever.
But
Go women, you just got to take them in. They'll
I'm
never
not
let you
gonna
cut
do
the
that.
hair. They'll
I'm not
never
gonna
let
do
you do it.
Yeah, that's not a
I
fight.
finally
wanna
just
start.
took my kids in to cut their hair. Anna kept saying no, and I came back and she was in love with it.
yeah, that's not a fight worth having.
Yeah,
Pick
yeah.
your battles, and that ain't one you're gonna win. So, but
I
Sometimes,
agree.
yeah, I don't know.
Lance doesn't pick his battles. He's just like, I'm gonna win all of them.
It's like guns
kid-
out all the time.
She didn't want to cut Livy's hair because Livy had the curls in the back and it was just getting unruly. I took her to cut her hair, brought her home, and my wife was absolutely in love with it. They're just scared to take a plunge.
Yeah.
So
scared to take a plunge. All right. Well, that'll do it for this week's episode. I hope you all have a great week, and maybe we'll see you next week.
I don't.
Yeah.
Your wife's having a baby Wednesday.
Yeah, I know. But this is, this isn't my first rodeo. All right. Last time it was. This time it's not my first rodeo.
An old
You
hat.
have no idea how hard it is going from 1 to 2.
Oh, I'm every
It's,
time somebody asks me, "Are you excited? Are you ready?" I say, "Nope, I'm not."
1 to 2
Yeah,
is a nightmare. 2
dreading-
to
I'm dreading
3
it.
is a nightmare. 3, 4, 5, all that's the same.
No, say like, I don't know. Like I'm dreading having a 2-year-old and a newborn. So it's gonna be interesting.
There's a comedian before we go. There's a comedian that says, he's like, yeah, I've got 2 kids, and a lot of people ask me what it's like having 2 kids. And he said, well, imagine you're drowning in the ocean, and instead of a life preserver, someone throws you a baby.
Yeah,
That's a second kid.
I tell my wife that every day. I'm like, oh well, I guess whenever my daughter wakes up, I'm like, I guess I go get the old emotional abuser out of her crib. You know, so
Yep.
like those memes where it's like I'm on my way to confront my emotional abuser, and they're like screaming, they're like talking to their child, and the child's yelling back at them. Like that's what it is. Like she started throwing fits where she has a fit about everything, or
She's 2 now.
screams. Almost, she'll be 2 in January.
Yeah. Well, my 5-year-old, we went to Chandler Mall, and I had to run out of there because she just started screaming, I want ice cream. I want ice cream. Unruly. So
She was screaming the other day. My sister was here, and I was working, and all I hear is, I want chips. I want chips. Just screaming it through the house. And she's crazy, but
never happened with my boys. My
the way it
girls.
scrambles. Max is like,
Spoiled
oh,
them.
my son's a little angel.
He has his moments.
All right. Well, thanks again, everyone, for tuning in. Thank you, Max and Jay, so much for hanging out with us and chatting tonight.
Of course.
And we will see you guys again very, very soon.
All you freaks and geeks.
Come all you freaks and geeks. Let's listen to Absolute Geek.
Absolute Geek.
We'll go ahead and spread our cheeks
Spread the cheese.
and drink
And
some
we're for
Cosby wine.
We'll
Come on,
drink
you
some Cosby
absolute
wine. It makes me feel real fine. See you next time on the Absolute Geek.